What is up? Day number 96. Another day in the life of a health insurance agent. It's funny when you start to really do the work to separate yourself from your ego. By the way, my name's Bridger Frederick. If you're new to this channel, T-TAN paraplegic, here to figure out how to 100% completely heal spinal cord injury. And the start of that, turns out, is doing inner work. And when you start to do inner work and you start to separate yourself from your ego, from that narrator inside your head, and you start to really get in touch with your true self and your actual essence, your nature, your consciousness, whatever you want to call it, however you want to relate to it. And you actually start to see that you're completely separated from that narrator, and by thinking you're that narrator and having to justify everything it says and believing that it's speaking truth a lot of the time and all of that stuff, you actually make that narrator very basically a mentally ill person living inside you and dictating what you do. And because of how the ego works, it's just so it's so worried about how it is perceived by the outside world as a mechanism of safety, as a species that has evolved to live within a tribe in order to perpetuate its survival. That fear of being kicked out of the tribe is so intense. It's so, and the ego will do anything to protect it. But once you've got to separate yourself from that, you realize, wow, I've been just wearing all sorts of crazy masks. And one of those masks that I have to continue to wear for an undetermined amount of time as of yet is the mask of being a health insurance agent. And it's once you see your exit strategy, long term, I don't know how long I'm going to have to do this. It might be a while, but I kind of think that I've got a few things, loaded and ready to go that might extricate me from, this particular mask that I'm wearing rather quickly. But once you, have some sort of long-term or short-term exit strategy and you're in touch with yourself and you realize that it is a mask, it gets really comical and really weird how you can just kind of drop into any character that you want to, but no matter what you're doing, almost certainly, unless you're have done an immeasurable amount of work and are just doing exactly what you love all day every day, and basically just playing, spending time with your family and procuring food, and you've completely made it. Unless you've done that, you are like playing a character and wearing a mask and fitting into your role in society. And it's very, very peculiar once you see how much of it is like your responses and the things that you do and the things you say are automated or like pre-programmed as kind of like threat repellent, or I don't know how exactly to describe it, but you mechanistically respond to things in order to, not rock the boat or just kind of stay in your expected character. And it's interesting. I urge anyone who's serious about healing, especially if you have a complex neurological injury like a spinal cord injury, but it really doesn't matter what you want to heal. If you have any sort of, whether it's just emotional pain or all the way up to something like being a quadriplegic or paraplegic or having some other degenerative autoimmune disease or something that's becoming extremely common in modern society, or just anything. If you want to heal anything, I urge you so much to start researching chakras, shadow work, Carl Jung, and the ego, because there's a reason that knowledge has been able to persist for thousands and thousands of years, and why you keep coming across it and keep seeing it, and it's incorporated into movies and stories and everything for an incredible amount of time. Like, just don't sleep on chakra work or inner work and inner healing. It is the first step. I really did try everything else first, and it's just so silly because everything else is so much more difficult. Now I don't have any problem. All of a sudden I can just, it's really easy for me to eat healthy and to not do dopaminergic bullshit, and to even when I end up using my phone as as a distraction, now I recognize, because I'm able to discern between myself and my ego and all of these different parts of us that kind of live as a community inside you, as insane as that might sound. But as soon as you start recognizing all these different kind of thinking, moving pieces of you, then you're able to take an objective approach to what each one wants and think, is this really what my soul, myself, or my deep, essence and my long-term, the part of you that just feels like it could explode out and have infinite everything, because we all have that. That's the story behind every hero's journey in every, from childhood fables to myths and legends, whatever it is. We all have that infinite part of us that feels like it could explode out at any point. Is it that part of you that wants it, or is it some other bullshit part? And it's usually a bullshit part. So that wasn't very elegantly spoken. I was distracted by a sign that said "Get prepared for the hurricane." There's a hurricane coming to Orlando, Hurricane Milton. Apparently it's supposed to be mildly apocalyptic, but it's hard to tell because the fear mongering on the news is such a critical part of it. But it seems like it's going to be a pretty bad hurricane, which is a bit disconcerting because this is the first house I've ever owned or owned in Florida, and so it's definitely a little nerve-wracking. Fuck, I'm on the wrong goddamn road. Anyways, I was going to take a different way to work today because it wasn't meant to be. But it's a bit concerning and intense owning a house, and knowing that could sustain some pretty significant damages, and I have virtually no way to get fully prepared for this thing. I'm going to do the best that we can with the limited amount of time and knowledge that I have in hurricane preparation, and just basically leave it up to the will of the gods. Hope that it doesn't own our house too hard, and then deal with it if it does. But anyways, I digress. Hurricane Milton, hurricane season. Get a plan. Can't get footage of that. It was too slow. Anyways, what I came here to really talk about is just please don't be me. Don't let stereotypes and preconceived notions and ego and any bullshit get in the way of the one true path to healing whatever it is you have going on. I'm not saying only focus on one thing. I still want to learn everything Western medicine has to offer. That's the silo. That's the problem with modern day Western thinking, is we just want to get so black and white about things, so siloed into one way of doing things. I don't at all want to discount all the amazing research and innovation and everything and technology that is coming out in the healing of spinal cord injury. I just am saying that in order for me to have the energy and the routine and the discipline and everything to do all that I need to do to be prepared to take advantage of those technologies and advancements when they come out, in order to get myself and maintain myself in that position and have the energy to do it, I had to just, get all of the energy centers inside my body at least flowing in the right direction. I realized as soon as I started looking in to chakras and everything that because of just this incredible amount of guilt and shame and generational bullshit from my parents and grandparents and family and other adults in my life and addicts that were around me, all of this stuff that I was holding on to as like shame and guilt was causing like an inverted energy field. And if you don't know what that means, or you don't believe we have an energy field, look into it, research it. I promise you, you will not be disappointed if you start meeting this with an open mind. It's really, really important. But I realized that mine was inverted completely, that because of just poor practices and hygiene and ignorance, that everything I was doing was reversed somehow. Like I wouldn't have the ability to speak up and stand up for either myself or for something I believe in when I should, and then I would be speaking when I shouldn't. Whenever I should be listening, I would be speaking. When I should be speaking, I would be being silent. Everything was messed up and reversed, and it's really hard to explain because I'm only at the very beginning of whatever journey I'm meant to be on. I finally have got out of the fucking thick of it, the jungle, and I see the mountain that I have to climb, and now I recognize that it's amazing. You get to the top of that mountain, and some people are disappointed when they get to the top of whatever mountain because they think that they only have one mountain to climb. But I realize that that mountain is just the vantage point from which I'm going to be able to see the hundreds of mountains, or at least the next mountain that I have to climb in this life. And it's just this never-ending journey, this ascension. And that makes sense. As soon as you adopt the idea that we're spiritual beings who, are basically in meat suits, living in this spiritual or in this world, while our soul or essence or whatever it is kind of elsewhere, this is just part of us living in here, animating this kind of suit that we live inside of. If you think about life that way, then that immediately allows you to make sense of your struggles. And of course, it's the hardest thing, the hardest thing in the world that you can imagine, the worst thing, the only thing that you don't want to do. Of course, that's what I have to do to graduate, to level up, to move forward. Because if, we're spiritual beings put here simply for the purpose of advancing our spirit, then of course it's going to always challenge us to the maximum level. That's the entire point of it. And we get to, learn how to create heaven on earth for ourselves. That's our goal, is to literally through, and other spiritual teachings and stuff start to make more sense as well, like the Christ figure. Through the sacrifice of, through the ultimate sacrifice, you're able to ascend, and everyone's on their own sort of journey like that. You have to sacrifice the ego in order for the self to live. And I don't know enough about Christianity to, really make that sound elegant or well thought out, but that ultimate sacrifice thing makes more sense once you see that in order to kind of have, the ultimate achievement, you do have to sacrifice your ego and just live your truth, whatever that is. And you could have been trained well and have amazing parents and have everything gone perfect for you, where this is irrelevant to you and you're just living that already. But I think that's the outlier. I think most of us are struggling really hard. Most of us are in character, kind of living in a life that our ego has created, that our fear, that our resentment, that our anger, that our shame, that our guilt has created for us. And yeah, it's just, everyone has to follow their own process to, decide whether or not they're going to make the super difficult choice. It's always going to be whatever is the maximum fear, maximum pain, maximum confusion and uncertainty. Whatever that path is, that's the path that you're probably supposed to take. Whatever scares the shit out of you and is just the worst possible thing you could imagine having to do, because it challenges what everyone else is going to think about you, what they're going to say about you, how they're going to feel about you. Whatever that is, that's probably where the magic is, which really sucks. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish it was anything else, that I could be exactly the person that I want everyone to think I am and still achieve everything that I want. But I don't get to do that. I have to live out and be my true self and just accept the judgment and the criticism and the hate and everything that is going to come along with that. And it's going to be really hard. I'm not even capable of doing it yet. I got to unpack so much shit with a therapist, with some inside of my personal relationships, at least be able to do it with them. And, I'm writing a book that is basically, my version of, it's like my ego suicide note, where once I put everything in it out there, in the way I think, there's really no going back to that person that I used to be, because the person I used to be didn't say exactly what they thought about everything. They didn't share their opinion for fear of judgment and dislike, because I had this intense need inside me for approval or love, because I thought that I wasn't worthy of it. And therefore, it was something that I was, clinging on to. I didn't want to risk losing anybody, even people that I didn't know yet. But yeah, it just doesn't work. That path just makes you feel more and more alone. The only, you have to just, put your neck out there on the chopping block and be willing to accept whatever comes of that. That's integrity, that's truth, that's honesty, and it's not something that I'm immediately capable of. I could make a video right now and say everything that I'm writing in the book, but I'm incapable of doing that yet. It takes tons of work, and so I don't want you to think that it's something that just clicks on and all of a sudden. I think that's possible. I think you can get to a breaking point and just be like, I'm ready, like let's go. But for me, that's not the case. I'm having to, build up slowly to it and just trust that while I'm writing this book, there's this massive fear of putting certain things about myself or certain opinions or feelings or beliefs or things that I've done out there. And there's this massive fear that comes from inside, from the ego, because it knows that, it's basically the death of the image that was, the image that it has curated of who I am. But that's just what has to happen. I don't know. It's a lot to even talk about, but the point is what I meant to say, sorry, was I got, I was thinking about too much there for a second as that kind of fear actually welled up inside me. But what I was trying to express is that I'm not able to just do that all at once. I'm just trusting in the process. That I put this story, pen to paper, not really, fingers to keypad, but put it out there, and in the process of doing that, I get the courage as it goes. As it comes out, I get the courage to do it, and then when it comes time to, give it to people that I trust, I love, and people in my interpersonal relationships, and potentially a publisher and an editor and everything like that, I have, the balls to actually do it and not, press Command A, delete on everything, which won't happen, but the ego wants it to happen. It's tempting. But anyways, hope that was just a little more food for thought, and that someone who listens to this just starts to YouTube videos about, chakras, inner work, shadow self, anything like that. Eventually I'll come up, I'll make playlists with all of the videos that I have watched, because this is my primary source of information. That's why I love creating these videos so much, is because I know how some random ass person opinion, some paralyzed guy driving to sell insurance at a random location in Orlando, Florida, how their opinion, some random person, has helped me so much, and how it could be one little nugget or thing, or just motivational action that comes from this that can start this domino effect in someone else's life, because that's happened to me in so many ways on so many different occasions, because of because of videos or podcasts that I've listened to, and books as well, though I don't read as much as I would like to, because I enjoy the dopaminergic distraction of listening and watching things. So, should probably read a little bit more. That's it. I'm gonna go sell some insurance and prepare for Hurricane Milton. It's Monday right now, and I will post this today. So Hurricane Milton is supposed to hit in full force on Wednesday at like 2 or 3 p.m. or something like that in Orlando, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but Wednesday is the day. So yeah, hopefully Milton diverts somewhere else. Milton sounds so unthreatening, doesn't it? No one's scared of Milton. Milton's like that weird old man with a hunchback that, sorry if you're a Milton out there. That's, I think of Milton as a, someone in there at the very, youthful edge of Milton. I would say 80s, but irrelevant. I might be eating my words. Milton might fuck my shit up. So, all right, I'm gonna go. I'm just rambling now. Goodbye.